Hi everybody, welcome to my channel. In this video I want to talk about budgeting. Budgeting is a very important concept in controlling your finances. And if you're just starting out, it can also be very overwhelming and you don't really know where to start. So I can relate. When we first started off on our journey back at the end of 2016 going into 2017, that was when I had found Dave Ramsey and decided that I wanted to get serious about paying off our debt. So over the next 4 years, we actually paid off over $100,000 worth of debt. So I know what it's like. It can be very overwhelming in the beginning. So today I want to talk through some of those steps just to get the ball rolling. So the first thing I want you to do is to assess your current finances, because you can't measure or you can't change what you don't measure. So you need to look through your current spending habits. So pull your credit cards, your bank statements, all the money coming in and coming out. I want you to look at it and what stands out to you. So if you want to physically print them off, that can be helpful, or if you want to just toggle between a couple of screens. But I want you to really earmark every single thing that you spent money on. And you're going to notice some trends when you do this. So for us, a big one was eating out. We were spending, I think, like $300 to $400 a month on I call it eating out, so whether that was truly fast food or the convenience foods. My husband would stop at the gas station on his way to work and buy, donuts and a soda, I don't know. So highlighting those and being aware of what you're currently spending money on is the first step, because if you don't know where that money's going, you're not going to be able to change those habits. So for example, with the stopping at the gas station, well, what could I buy at the grocery store that would help him to not have to stop and buy something on the way to work? So those kinds of things, and just shifting where you're spending that money, because when you buy it at the grocery store and then bring it with you, it's going to be cheaper than stopping at the gas station. So just being aware of those spending habits, and then you can make changes as you go. So as you're going through and highlighting or categorizing, you need to develop those general categories of your spending. So some of the big ones are going to be, your rent or your mortgage, your electricity, water, sewer, any of your other kinds of utilities, your debt payments that you're working to pay off. So whether that's your car, your student loan, credit cards, any kind of debt, your groceries. And I always like to break out groceries and then restaurants separately. And in fact, I actually have a third category in our budget of what I call snacks. So my husband still likes to buy those snacks at work sometimes. So I actually break that out even further into a third category. So gas, which currently is going to be a big ticket item, childcare, any kind of insurance, cell phones, cable and internet, any kind of subscriptions, whatever else consists of your current spending, I want you to write those out into categories. I do also include a miscellaneous, so this would be where I would categorize things like if we go to Menards and get something. I kind of just lump, or Target for whatever. I kind of lump some of those into one category. You don't want to end up with too many very specific categories where it can become overwhelming for you. In a future video, I will talk about saving for future expenses and what we call sinking funds. So that might be a budget item for you as well. But when you're just getting started, you really need to focus on those key categories that you're spending money on every single month. And then based on, the previous month's spending that you've looked at through those transactions, you can kind of predict what next month should look like based on last month's spending. So some of those are going to be consistent, like your rent or your mortgage, whereas other ones are going to be a little bit flexible. So that's why it's important to create a budget on a continual basis. So whether you choose to do it on a monthly basis, per pay period, like bi-weekly, weekly, whatever's going to work for you, it's really all going to be trial and error as you're getting started. But again, categorize those expenses. Looking at what you previously spent, now attach $1 for what you expect to spend in the following month going into that next month. looking at your income. Is your income consistent for the most part from paycheck to paycheck, or do you have a highly variable paycheck? Maybe you're commission based, or it depends on your hours, things like that. That can be a little bit trickier when you're trying to create a budget. The recommendation is to set it to the lowest amount that you know you will get, and then anything above that you could put towards, debt repayment and things like that. There's another concept called zero-based budgeting, and this really helps you to assign every dollar a duty. So all of your income minus your expenses should equal zero. And when I say that, I don't literally mean, leaving your checking account with $0. Everybody's gonna be a little bit different. So in Following Dave Ramsey, he talks about having $1,000 as your emergency fund. And when we were just starting, we did have that, minimum of $1,000 in savings, but I've also always kept the mindset of a minimum of $1,000 left in my checking account. Other people are happy to have that be significantly lower than that. That's kind of just a comfort level for me. So if by some chance I forgot to make some auto payment was coming out, that way there's still going to be money in there. So whatever is going to work for you, but just having that concept of assigning every dollar a duty. So depending on where you're at in this journey, maybe that is literally every dollar that comes in needs to go out. So you're trying to pay off that debt, and every single extra dollar should be going towards those debt payments. And no matter how big or how small. So every dollar does count and will make a difference. So once you kind of have this wrote out, the next step would be to determine what method is going to work for you for tracking this. So some people really like to physically write it out on pen and paper and track it that way. You can use Excel or Google Sheets, or there's several different types of apps. I actually use a combination of a lot of them. So for our day-to-day, I do use the free version of the Every Dollar app, and that allows me to create a budget. And then as the month goes by, every time I make a transaction, I record that, and it will tell me how much I've spent and how much I have remaining. And that helps me to, again, I'm a very visual person, so I can see, ooh, we've ate out, twice already this month, and we're at our max, or whatever your numbers are. But it really helps to keep it visual and keep it front of mind so that you can curb your spending according to where you're at, so that you're not spending all of your money immediately and then you still have the rest of the weeks or rest of the month to get through. So I do use that app. I also do use Excel or Google Sheets, and I do track, and this is something I've started more recently again, it's that same concept as the Every Dollar with the budget, but I track it that way, and I don't really know why. I guess it's kind of a duplicate, but it's just helpful for me to see and project, and I can look at month to month to month. So with the Every Dollar app, it's kind of it's there and then it's gone. Whereas when I do it in Excel, it allows me to look at month over month, so I can see and kind of trend the spending that way. So again, I'm kind of just a money nerd that way, and like to have things very visual. So I have a lot of different Excel spreadsheets and things and graphs. But whatever is going to work for you is what I want you to do. Find one that works for you. There are several apps out there. I also use the Mint app. I don't really use that one from a budgeting perspective. I've actually kind of stopped using it, but you can use it for net worth, which is a really good one. Personal Capital is another free one that I also use. Also allows you to track net worth and all of your income, or your savings, your investing, your debts. You can pull all of that into that app as well, and that is free. Another very popular app is the You Need a Budget app. That one is not free, but a lot of people really, really like that app because it gets very specific and helps you curb your spending through goals and things like that. So I hope you found this helpful. It will be messy in the beginning, but the key is to just get started. Things are going to pop up as you go, and having that budget is going to act as your guide to help you move forward, curb the spending as you go, make budget cuts where necessary. When you're starting off this journey, you're going to identify things that you can probably do without. We haven't actually had like a cable in, I think, like five years. Not that that's necessarily saving us money now with all these other subscriptions, but looking at what you're spending money on, or back to the example of eating out. We used to spend several $100s. Now our monthly budget is $100 for eating out. That doesn't go very far. So usually we can eat out like twice, really, with that, and that's it. So it really forces us to meal plan and plan ahead, or maybe some of the fun money or entertainment fund. Just having your hands around where you're spending, where that money's going, and spending money on things that bring you joy. That was my whole goal with getting out of debt. The $1,000 a month that we were spending on student loans and car payments, I thought to myself, what could we do with that money if we didn't have to pay that every month? That's a lot of money. So finding your why and what's going to motivate you, create visual things if you're a visual person to get yourself on track, get a hold of your budget and your finances, and get that ball rolling moving forward. Because I promise, when you're debt free, it will be worth it. So I'd love to hear from you in the comments below if you found this helpful. What kind of budgeting tips or apps do you use that you find helpful, or any other tips for other people who might be struggling creating their budget? So I hope you found this helpful. Again, I mentioned I will create one in the future on sinking funds, because I also use those and they are very helpful for future planning for spending. So that's all for me from today, and I hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the like button.